We have a parcel that was imported from Google Earth. It's a precise shape from parcel data that came from GIS, and we've located two buildings. And now we're going to bring in some other information from Google Earth. So let's go back to our Google Earth file, and there's our site. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn the transparency down on this. On the left side in Google Earth, there's a way of actually turning this down so you can see the underlying image. I'm going to zoom out a bit. Let's say that we want to get kind of the context in along with the parcel that we just brought in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save an image of this from Google Earth, Site 1 as a JPEG, and go back to OPS. And now we're going to actually attach that image. So you go to the Attach button, browse to the image, Site JPEG. Let's call this a Google Earth background. So this is just an image, and we're going to choose this to be a site plan background. This is a way of attaching one or multiple images in the background. It could be a Google Earth image like this, or even a sketch. And upload that to the OPS system. You get a confirmation, so there it is. If I open this up, you'll see that it's that image that we saved. So we'll close this, and now at the site level, there's an option to choose that background setting Google Earth. And it brings it in. It's just an image, so it's not going to be to scale. So let's zoom out and unlock the background, which is right here, either under Edit or Control B. That lets us move it around, and we're going to stretch it to fit. So now this is a manual. It stays in proportion, but you have to manually get it to fit to the right size. So what I'm using here is that site shape that we know, which is the actual size, and the image in the background, which is still approximate. And you'll notice it's still too small, so I'm going to continue to stretch it, zooming out, getting it to fit. You can zoom in and see how it fits. It still looks like it's too small. It could be any element in an image like this. You could actually have a scale that you can align with the scales at the top, or you can graphically get it to the right size by continuing to do this. So let's say that this is within range. And if I hit B again, then it goes back and locks the background, so I can no longer grab it. So now these buildings now are sitting on the actual KML file that came from Google Earth, the property line, the image in the background, and the buildings are actually elements here. Let's go back to Google Earth and actually do a couple more things. Let's say that we wanted to bring in some of the other elements from Google Earth. So let's actually turn this off for a second and say these adjacent buildings, let's grab these as well. So I'm going to take the polygon tool in Google Earth and actually let's grab it. Let's put it in the top area here. So we'll grab this polygon tool and trace this building. And notice there's some perspective distortion here. So you can either go by the roof line and then move it over, or estimate if you just want to approximate where this building is going to be. It looks like probably it's right around there. There's the other corner. And you can continue to tweak it in Google Earth so it looks approximately right. This is more of a sketch because we do not have actually CAD documents of this building. We're just grabbing it from Google Earth. So this is building 1. And let's do the same for building 2 here. There's our building, so we'll save this as building 1. Building 1. Let's do another one right here while we're here at this point. That's another building, building 2. Same thing. Building 2. And save that to our desktop as building 2. Okay, going back into Ops, it looks like both of these buildings are probably about 10 stories. You can look at other data on the web, like in Virtual Earth, to actually get an oblique view, or you may already know the height of those buildings. So let's just go back to here. And what we're going to do now is actually import those buildings we'll grab Google Earth as a building instead of a site. Go browse, grab building 1 first, import that in. It asks us, and let's actually name that building 1. And asks us how many floors. We're going to assume it's 10 floors based on the image. And return to the site. And do the same for building 2. Building 2 import. Building 2 name. 10 floors. Proceed. And return to the site. And you'll notice on the site plan there's actually going to be 2 new buildings brought in from Google Earth right there. And we can lock these since we know the location is where we want them to be, so you can't grab them by mistake. These other ones are our design buildings, so we're still moving them around. In this way you can actually start bringing in other elements from Google Earth. We can bring in another site or another building, or actually even a line or a point.